Come on.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the only podcast produced by three winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. You're tuned into the Check Engine podcast, streaming through Anchor.fm or anywhere else that streams awesome, cool, meaningful podcasts. My name is Nick, and along with me, as always, are both Andrew and Tristan. Guys, what's going on? Andrew, how are you feeling?
Hold
how
on.
are you feeling? What?
We're going to go this far and not talk about the brand new song that everybody just heard for episode 50?
Well, that's why I'm teeing it up for you, man.
Jesus. I can't wait anymore.
Calm
Episode
down.
50. Are you kidding me? Brand new song, brand new theme song created us.
You know I edited in like after we're done recording. He hasn't heard it yet.
God, dude. Man, you can't pull the curtain back right now. This is time for magic. I'm trying to make magic.
Yeah, okay. I make engineering and science.
I suppose we could have done it after, but this was supposed to be the magic moment. You're ruining it. All right. Anyways, the song that you just heard, because Tristan edited it in, was written for us by the theme song God, Arnie Parrott, the OG, known from way back in the day. Check him out on SoundCloud, on Instagram. Where else is he? Spotify. I think he's got a YouTube page. Arnie Parrott, Parrot like the bird, or atptunes.com. He's done theme songs for podcasts way better and more popular than ours, and he
stooped to our level.
He stooped to our level to create that awesome song, and let me tell you, I love it.
I will have links to all of his stuff in our show notes for this episode, so you guys should be able to find it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Arnie. We appreciate the work. It is an awesome tune, as now everybody knows.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. We appreciate it.
Much obliged. And you mentioned something else here as you jumped into your whole big rant there. This is episode 50.
Episode
50 probably, as we discussed on social media.
50-ish.
By our count, depending on what you count.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I don't count the emergency break. I didn't count the thing on Christchurch.
Yeah.
So 50. This is like 50 real episodes.
Mm-hmm.
We made it.
Our first actual milestone, yeah.
This is the first one. Like, I guess the second season or making it through the first season could be one. But as far as like an episode count, like, this is the first one.
Definitely.
This is the first real big one. So, and we're still not pros.
No.
Somehow we've made it this far and we are not professionals. Although we're getting closer.
We're getting closer and closer.
Don't make promises we can't deliver on.
No, the closer I never said we're there.
But you're still listening just like you have for the past 49 episodes. So thank you, everybody.
Good for you.
Yeah, we love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We don't want you to just listen. Like, we want you to interact with us. We've gotten some really cool interactions lately, which we'll talk about, I think, a little bit later.
Yeah.
But we want to keep that coming. You know, we want to hear what you think. Give us episode ideas, what you like, what you don't. You can start by going to checkenginepodcast.com. There's an email there, inbox at checkenginepodcast.com. And you can also find our prior episodes. You can find links to our social. You can find our blogs. Andrew just had a really, really good sentimental blog about this 50th episode here. It's all available at checkenginepodcast.com. So, fellas, what are we doing for episode 50?
Episode 50, we got some classic Check Engine Podcast content. We got lists. We got lots of lists.
Yeah, classic in structure.
Yeah, exactly.
However, less than classic, I think, in overall content. We'll discuss that later, but just a teaser for you.
Yeah, I like that. I like leaving that mysterious.
Yeah,
that's fun.
Let's leave it open. Just let it float there for a minute. So, first, any special episode 50 pace laps we gotta go through?
So much stuff happened this week because it was earnings reports, first quarter earnings reports.
Can we do a Tesla heat check for old time's sake?
Sure. I guess I'm so out.
I'm even more out.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm still super out.
I am at maximum Elon Musk saturation right now because
That
Saturated
sounds so
with Musk.
bad.
I am covered in Musk.
He's making it worse. He always makes it worse.
But no, I mean, he went up there and did everything but actually vivisect a baby to distract people from the fact that Tesla lost $700 million in the first quarter off soft demand. But here's something really interesting. I learned two things. First, I learned how Tesla is manufacturing their cars.
Okay, that's a positive for you, anyway.
Sort of. But I also learned that I actually didn't know how cars were manufactured. So here's what I mean. Tesla, and I swear this is the only thing we're going to cover in specificity, announced or revealed in their report that the way they manufacture cars is in batches. So basically what they'll do, this is for the Model 3 only, as opposed to the S and the X, which they custom build. Mm-hmm. For the Model 3, they work in batches. So they make a specific version of the car with specific specifications all at once.
Yes.
Which I guess in my head was how I thought they made cars.
Right. No. And here's
not at all.
Right. And here's the reason I know this, and we'll have to get the full story at some point from him, but my dad has a couple of stories about how kind of back in the bad old days, you'd end up with like versions of car with the wrong grill.
Right.
Or like where they're, badge engineered. You'll get like all the body panels look like one thing, but then it's a grill from some other manufacturer.
Yeah.
Like, weird things like that. The lines have like a scrolling build sheet where it's like every single one that comes down the line, they just bolt on parts or not, depending on the individual trim level.
Right.
And stuff.
And that's so much more efficient. So one example I saw, because I was just reading Twitter, like, do you mean that's not how they? That's not how
I
they make
didn't.
cars?
I didn't know this.
That's not how they make cars?
So how they actually make cars, for example, Subaru, right after the launch of the FRS and BRZ, they still do this in part, but they would build on the same line in the same day. They cross-track the BRZ and the FRS all in the same factory, all rolling down the same line, all at the same time. Mm-hmm. So their production is massively scaled, and what's coming down the line effectively doesn't matter. Either it needs a part or it doesn't.
Yep.
And they do left-hand and right-hand drive at the same time, all different trims, all that stuff all at once. And it's way more efficient that way with modern manufacturing techniques and technology. So, yeah, that's two things. I learned that Tesla doesn't know how to make cars effectively, and I didn't know how cars were made.
Don't worry, neither does Elon Musk.
Yeah, apparently. You're not the only one.
Very true. And the reason why you don't want to do batches, by the way, for anyone who is playing the home game, is that batches don't actually match demand. When you're putting out different cars on a line, you can produce those cars based on actual metrics.
Yeah, I mean, half the time, like either you've got metrics or they are actual orders.
Correct.
Like you go to the dealer and you custom order a car, that gets on that build sheet list, and your car proceeds down the line with all the others, gets assembled and shipped right to you. Like they're either answering a direct demand from a customer, or they're looking at supply chain numbers that can tell them exactly they've got however many hours of build time, how many of that's dedicated to each model, and they just run them down the line in whatever order makes sense.
Right, and I was also thinking it also explains a lot about why when new cars are released, you see top trim models first and the others later. So basically, those new cars just get slotted in with a regular production schedule. And to get people interested, they bring the limiteds and the ultimate trims. They just slot them right in an existing line and get out of there for the day. They're done. That was all really interesting to me.
Yeah, I have happened to know that for a little while, but I also find it remarkably interesting, and it's really fun to watch. My sister went to, I believe, the Toyota plant with my grandparents on vacation one time, and she described, she's like, it's not all the same car. Mm-hmm. Like there's like a whole bunch of different ones all lined up. She didn't know which ones. Obviously, it's not her thing, cars, but it was. I thought they just built them all in the same place, because you see like pictures of what we all think of when we think a car assembly line is social studies. Yeah, and talking about Henry Ford and the Model T, where there was only one car. Right. So it's like miles and miles of assembly line with Model Ts in various states of disarray, and it's only one thing. But it's not like that anymore, and it's also not batches, Elon.
Yeah. Very interesting, I thought. What else? Oh, I saw a very neat car on my way to work today.
Okay.
I saw a Chevy Camaro ZL1 track pack. I don't know if you guys have seen the track pack in person.
Yes.
Damn.
Talking about the Camaro, I read a weird article that it's apparently notably losing out to the Challenger.
I'm not surprised, but I also think that's a weird cross shop. Honestly,
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about
Camaro
that.
and Mustang, I get.
Yeah, that's more what I would assume.
But that's
not
what
Challenger.
FCA's Challenger.
Charger, though?
Is it Charger or Challenger?
Challenger.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they're the same car, but I guess standing them next to each other, a Challenger. Well, maybe it makes sense. I guess. I mean,
Yeah, the Charger would make less sense than the Challenger.
I don't know.
Other than the number of doors, I feel like the Charger is a more appropriate fighter for that, being that it's kind of smaller overall and like.
But is it though? Because they're the same platform. I don't
guess.
actually know if the Charger's smaller than the Challenger. I have no idea.
I don't know. It plays smaller, I guess.
Yeah, that's
it's
the whole
lower.
thing.
It's lower. Maybe it looks more like the other two. I don't know, but.
Very weird.
But yeah, it's like, Camaro. I was reading a release that Camaro has dedicated themselves to fighting back against the Challenger and how it's losing out in a bunch of places. I'm like, really? I mean, anybody who's watched the most recent Grand Tour, they talk about the Mondeo being the car they all agree on.
Right.
I mean, more or less, give or take the various grills and stuff like that, all three of us agree that the Camaro is a fantastic car, like automobile.
Well, yes.
And
After seeing the track pack, I was blown away. So the track pack has carbon fiber splitter on the front and little down wings just below the fog lights. Huge wing on the back.
And simply
oh my
massive,
God.
simply massive tires.
Yes.
Amazing.
It looked so and
Angry.
for some reason
So
it just
aggressive.
looked so cool though.
Yeah.
And it was driving down like a 2-lane horrible country road, and I was still like, oh my God, I want it.
It's a phenomenal car.
So
Phenomenal car. Remember a few episodes back when I bought you that H2?
Yes, I do.
I saw it on the way here.
You know what's so funny?
was he in it?
There was one parked.
No, he
There was
was not.
one parked down the road.
Yeah.
In my well, not in my neighbor's driveway, but next to my neighbor's driveway. And well, I live on a block where every house is literally the same house on the same lot with the same driveway. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have fit it in the driveway. It was on the road because it would not have fit in the driveway.
So huge.
It was
So
actually
huge.
pretty funny.
Like I have a small pickup, and I was still looking up to it. Like I stopped next to it at a light on the way here.
Yeah.
And I was just like almost at a 45-degree angle, just like to see up into the cockpit. Just massive. Just massive. Anything else? What else we got? Are we going to dive into this?
I got one more thing that I actually want to briefly talk about because I think it's an interesting theory that's also problematic. And I also kind of want to shit on Ford, but we'll do that some other time. So the important thing is this. Hyundai and Kia have announced a new app. Are you intrigued yet?
Nope.
How about if I told you it was a new EV app?
They all have apps.
Doing things like that?
Keep going.
Yeah, they all have apps.
All right, this app, unlike all of the other EV apps, will allow all users to customize the performance aspects of all EV cars from either brand. You'll be able to adjust 7 different parameters: torque, power, energy regeneration, range. What are the other ones? Acceleration, deceleration, and responsiveness.
Define responsiveness.
I have no idea.
Okay. Like, is that handling or is that throttle responsiveness or like what kind of responsiveness?
I would
are they
assume
talking?
throttle responsiveness.
I would think so too. So
or
you
what,
can
what they used to call back in the day, tip in.
tip in. Yes.
the get up and go.
Yeah.
So this is interesting to me, first because it's pretty much unprecedented control over your own ECU. Second, because I feel like it's a mistake to make this app. And third, because they found themselves a hot button word. It's built, Tristan, in the blockchain.
Oh no.
The buzzword of 2 years ago.
Oh no.
It is, seriously, built in the blockchain. So
that other people cannot modify your car.
Well,
Supposedly.
I mean, basically.
That's why.
Yeah, for those who don't know anything about the blockchain, roughly what it is a series of records that are linked together with. So basically, you can share records between people, but whatever you put out publicly as part of the chain cannot be altered by anyone else. So my assumption is that this will be a private blockchain network created by Hyundai and Kia. And that way, people can share their uploads, to the chain, share their modifications, and other people can
reference
use
them,
stuff like that.
Reference them.
So it's like the Forza tuning marketplace.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I'm actually, in a way, into this idea, and in another way, I think it's really, really stupid. But here's the thing:
so it's an EV app.
an EV app for Hyundai and Kia cars.
Do they have an EV car yet?
Several.
Yes.
They have the entire Ionic range.
Oh, Ionic, that's right.
Kona Electric,
Kona Electric, Soul
Kona
Electric,
Nero Electric.
Nero Electric. They got mad cars. Basically,
Yeah.
all their cars.
I forgot about the Ionic.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing for me that's going to be interesting to watch, while the blockchain thing definitely seems like a gimmick, and while my assumption is they will do a private as opposed to a public network, so it won't be built like off of the Bitcoin or anything,
Right,
the
right,
Bitcoin
right.
network or anything, it'll probably be their own. However, if they go with a public network, this could genuinely become a field of entry for all EVs, where you could then not only tune your Hyundai or your Kia, but you could use the same basic performance settings, they're all batteries, on other cars. So really, there's a moment where they could corner the market on this sort of public sharing of EV tuning data. Whether or not it actually happens, I don't know.
Yeah.
Something to watch.
Curious to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know enough about it to really have any opinion just yet, but we'll see.
Definitely.
You want to dive into this episode? Let's get to the main course here.
Yeah, let's do it now.
All right, who's gonna tee this one up? Tristan gave a tease. He teased.
I did.
Yeah, finish her off.
Finish it off
Gross.
for us.
Or him.
It wasn't gross because of gender.
Oh.
I'll say it that way. All right. So the topic for this week is things that we don't know anything about. Way to sell it, right? So we were discussing what to do this week, and we thought it's going to be our 50th episode. We'll be changing up the kind of weekly schedule format that Andrew talked about in his blog this week. We're also going to, kind of bring back a classic format where we each, select our things right back to our first episode, lists of our, first cars,
Yeah.
the marriage episode, all that one, kind of more of that style, come back to a classic. And then what we decided is on top of that, we're going to twist in kind of new things. And I thought, well, what about something that's new for each one of us? So each of us has been gifted, saddled with,
Gifted used loosely.
yes, a topic, car brand, car style, etc. That we're not very good at is the goal. And the goal
we're getting
is
people
to,
out of their comfort zones.
yeah,
Is really what it is.
out of their comfort zones, grow a little bit, unearth some new things,
Learn
and,
a little bit.
Yeah. So I personally found it very, very fun, actually.
Did you?
I did. I was not expecting to. I was expecting it to be a slog, but it was actually very interesting. So
I forgot what yours was. I was actually kind of disappointed with mine because I don't know if you guys realize this, but what you saddled me with, I've driven everything in that class.
oh, I know that.
Oh.
You
well,
just
it was-
hate them.
No, it was super easy.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you just hate them.
I already knew my list ahead of time.
Yeah, but you just hate them.
Yeah,
So.
that's true.
It's just a little bit different for everybody. We're punishing him. I think
did I do?
must be, I guess.
Oh boy. All right,
So-
who's going first? Who's going first?
I think who hasn't gone first lately?
Maybe me. Does that sound right?
I think it's you.
All right, I'll go first.
Yeah.
I'll go first. So my co-host tried to put me down and make me feel bad by making me create a list of the top 3 dually trucks Genuinely, guys, I have driven all of these.
But he also hates all of these, to be clear.
Yes, because trucks are an impractical choice for a daily vehicle. Everybody knows that.
He says to the guy who's driving one.
Not really.
Everybody knows that. Anyways, obviously dually trucks. Do I need to explain what a dually is?
Maybe.
Just trucks with 2 wheels at the back. Those big
Four
ones.
wheels at the back.
2 wheels on each side.
Yeah, because most trucks have two
wheels
in the back.
Yeah, but they're not quadleys, Tristan.
Well, they should be. Now that I think about it.
They've got 2 wheels at the back. That's a really good point.
That's a good point. They're quadleys.
It is, in fact, 4 wheels at the back. They are most often seen, I guess farms would be the second place spot to assholes in the number 1 spot.
Ooh, coming out harsh from the beginning.
Oh, sorry, am I wrong?
Can't say.
Exactly.
I don't know anybody who drives one.
Yeah,
so,
actually, I don't know any of them personally.
So we can't say if they're an asshole.
Dually drivers, come at me. I don't care. So here's what I have, and I have a lot of experience with these from working in the parks. And the first one, a truck that I loved to drive because it has irresponsible amounts of power and is an absolute hilarious thing to drive. The Ford F-350 Super Duty with the 6.7 liter diesel engine, the turbo diesel. So 440 horsepower, fine. 860 foot-pounds of torque. So when I say that you can spin the wheels through 3 full gears with the thing entirely loaded out, I mean it.
I'm for serious.
Not that I have done that.
Or would ever do such a thing, right? Right.
I will
Responsibility, right?
say, yeah, absolutely. It's planetary power. So anything above really like 500 foot-pounds of torque feels like a lot.
I bet if you said you could drift it, Tristan would go out and get one right now.
You could drift this.
But would Ford put a drift mode on it?
You know what? I'll bet you.
Can we ask them to do so? So
I'll bet you someone somewhere has a drift mode.
Just rip the module right out of an RS.
Yeah, I'll bet you.
I bet you.
No, but it was one of my favorite trucks to drive at work, just because it didn't have the 1-ton bed on the back, just a standard 6-foot truck bed with the full cab, and so no matter what you put in it, you could just break the tires. You turn off the traction control just because of that hilarious amount of torque. In the number 2 spot, the Ram 3500.
Venerable.
Yeah, and apparently, according to this article, has the most payload.
Do you have years associated with this, or do we just tell them make model?
I don't think we told them anything.
Okay.
Cool. Oh, no, I didn't even go with... Well, these are all current gen, so I guess they'd be the 19s.
Sure.
I mean, what's kind of important to realize here is that I haven't driven the 19s, but these trucks are essentially unchanged for the past 10 years.
Yeah. Not other than sheet metal.
Yeah.
And weird little doodads. Like, I remember there was a big commercial deal when Ram added the exhaust braking, like a semi. Like, yeah.
Right. Ram 3500 diesel again. Simply because,
if you're getting a dually pickup truck, why not?
Right, and of course, you can get the gas Ram with a 6-speed manual transmission, which is so dumb.
Manual?
Yeah,
A 6-speed manual dually pickup truck.
so stupid.
That's weird to me.
It makes no sense. And plus, if you go with the gas, you only get like 400 foot-pounds of torque, as opposed to, again, 865 foot-pounds. Yeah, and in third place, my least favorite to drive, my least favorite to have to work with, simply because, weirdly, this one, when I worked with it at the county, this was the most common one we had, the Chevy Silverado 3500, and we also had like the GMC version.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the configuration. Those were generally the 1-ton ones, so they had the giant metal bed in the back.
Yeah.
Was it like a 3-yard, I think is the technical
Yeah,
name
like
for
the
that.
actual, has like the...
It's a dump,
deflector at the back,
yeah,
and
it's
it
a dump
dumps.
truck,
And yeah,
basically.
yep.
But they just got stuck a lot. Like, weirdly, they would stick themselves in like soft grass.
So it's funny you mention that because I have done, as I mentioned, only a very little off-roading in my time, and that was mostly in the place that put stickers all over your Jeep.
Yeah,
right.
The Outer Banks. And
Jeep.
I saw only I was afraid I was gonna get stuck because it was like my first time ever driving on sand. I had some serious concerns. I was fine. I saw 2 Silverados stuck. They were not dualies because it was off-roading. It wasn't
Right.
like their
Yeah.
thing, but like 2. But they also got stuck, and I wonder if there's something with their differentials don't lock properly or
It could have
what.
been.
It's weird, but. It's funny that was the one you mentioned because that was also the one. Like if I'm ever considering buying a trick up puck, yeah, gross. A pickup truck for off road purposes, I would veer wildly away from any Chevys because they're the only ones I've ever seen stuck. But
You know what's so funny about that, actually? To get off topic here just slightly, I would stay away from the Chevys in this 3500. I would only buy a Silverado 2500 because all the other trucks that we had at the park were the Ford F-250s, and they were useless, like utterly useless. Didn't have high payloads. The beds were super high and awkward to get in and out of or put stuff in. That doesn't make any difference. But here is why I think the Silverado got stuck, and this is not why, but it just sounds funny. The diesel only makes a pitiful, embarrassing 765 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, how can you move anything with that?
that's why even bother at that point?
Yeah, why even bother?
Just get a horse.
Exactly. Get 2 horses.
Wow. How could they even release something like that and be proud of it?
I know. It's just embarrassing.
Like they advertise that?
You know the other reason why I don't like the Chevy? I backed one fully into a tree.
That doesn't sound like the Chevy's problem.
That's not the Chevy's problem, though.
I mean, it wasn't.
Did it not crash the way you wanted it to? Is that why you didn't like it?
Because of the metal bed.
Hey, this
I
didn't
won.
crumple right.
No, because of the metal bed, I definitely won. But I did put a giant dent in it. And of course, because it's the county, I still see that truck around. And it's like, hey, I did that.
I did that. I have experience with the 3500 Dodge.
Yeah.
That was my only foray into dually pickup trucks. And that one was not a fancy pickup truck. That
No.
one was 1000% a farm truck. And it was astonishing that it still did anything in the condition it was in. Like you could practically see through it.
Oh, yeah.
Like there was so much rust that you could look from one side to the other through the holes in most places, I swear.
Well, see, that's the thing with this.
And it would pull like a 90 horse trailer or something. I don't know. It was ridiculous.
When I was doing the configuration here, I didn't actually go to the Ford, Dodge, and Chevy websites and like do their normal configurator. I actually went to the commercial grade pages simply because, especially at like this truck configuration, you really need this with heated leather seats and this. No, just stop.
Are you going to be spending that much time
Well,
doing
that's kinda-
comfortable things in a truck like
That's
this?
kind of the thing.
People over the road hauling their horses.
I mean, the last thing you want when you're dripping in sweat is to get into a nice leather seats, nice hot leather seats.
Such a sweat. It's probably
Hey,
dirt and mud.
maybe they're
and-
cooled.
They probably are. Once you get into these packs, well, we won't get into the weirdness of the Ford website, but it took me a while to find them because they're all under the Super Duty. You had to go to
Yes.
Super Duty first before you go 250, 350, 450, 550, 950. GTX 750.
Wait,
Whatever it is.
He's gone to graphics cards, everybody. Hold on.
Anyways, this actually did make me sort of yearn for the good old days when I was able to work outside with my hands. You ever miss that, Tristan?
I do. One of my previous lives, there have been so many, was working for, of all things, a living history museum, where you dress up in old-timey garb.
Get bit by pigs.
Yeah. Pigs are jerks, everyone. just a PSA. If you're thinking of I'll start my hobby farm and I'll raise pigs, don't. Entirely off topic, but just don't. Pigs are jerks. But yeah, it was nice being working with the nice animals and being outside and moving heavy things.
As much as it sucks to like get caught in the rain while you're digging a hole,
Yeah.
at the end of the day or the next day you come and you're like, wow, I dug that hole.
Yeah, or
an immediate sense of accomplishment.
Yes, visible.
Like you have a task and you can see that it's done.
Yeah.
I cut down this full acre of wheat with a scythe.
I mean, I've never done that.
You know,
yeah.
like weird things like that. Like, yeah, I miss that.
So their jobs were a little different.
but the
My two
core,
co-hosts
the
here.
core was the same.
Yeah.
I do miss that occasionally.
No, mine wasn't an acre of wheat with a scythe. Mine was a 15-acre lot with an out front mower.
Exactly. Yeah. Very different.
Exactly.
Very different.
But the
more
same.
modern.
Anyways, so that was my list. Thanks for bringing me back, I guess, guys. Bring me back to the...
Nostalgia trip.
Yeah.
Did you enjoyed it though?
In the end, I did. I was only a little disappointed because I thought that it would be more challenging. Because what I thought was going to happen is, I knew these three trucks, the big three American manufacturers, and I expected to find some other company that makes a dually truck.
Nope.
No one else does. So that was the surprise. No Nissans, no Toyotas. I couldn't even find Chinese manufacturers.
Just by entering, you're on the podium.
Exactly. Well, GMC.
Well,
Shame.
well, okay.
Anyways.
You mean fancy Chevy?
Yeah, exactly.
Fancy Chevys?
Yeah. Who's next?
I'll go.
All right.
Let's hear it.
I'll go.
I can't wait for this.
Yeah,
This is the one I'm excited
interested.
for.
I'm interested.
So, both of my co-hosts have sport bikes, motorcycles that they ride on occasion. It's been a while since you guys have gotten yours out, though.
Let's not talk about it.
Okay. What?
Yeah, I bought a manual car, and that has soaked up all of my time.
So, I am not into the street bike scene. I am into the dirt bike scene.
Which I didn't know about, actually. Tristan mentioned it,
Yeah.
but I didn't know
Also,
about that.
ladies and gentlemen, if you are hearing this on the recording, it's starting to rain, and I don't know if it's going to be picked up on the recording or not.
It might minimally.
If it is, that's what it is. Just everybody heads up.
Just a heads up. We are trying to be pros. We actually have better equipment, so it's not
Yeah,
that.
shouldn't be too bad.
So yeah, I'm into the dirt bike scene. I have a lot of family in the Southwest, so desert rides, those types of things. One of my best friends in college used to ride motocross as a youth. So he really got me into it. So I'm more into the dirt bike scene, and I have nothing against sport bikes. I think it's just because I'm like into so many things, and there's so many hobbies and passion projects. Like, there's not the capacity in here to care.
And also,
Right. It's just like I don't have enough time to devote to really dive into it. So this was kind of a neat exercise for me to really get into this. So like Andrew and like Tristan after me, there's going to be the three favorites. I actually got a couple honorable mentions as well if we have more
Nice.
time.
I have a preamble and honorable mentions.
oh boy.
Wow.
That's what I kind of, like I said, I was a little disappointed that other manufacturers don't make dualies, but why would they?
Yeah.
So would you like me to just hit with the honorable mentions first, or do you want to roll back to those later?
See, I started at my number one.
Yeah, I would work your way down, because then if you do the honorable mentions, we know the ones you didn't pick first.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give the game away.
Yeah, yours was what? So street bikes from
1990s to today.
from the Speed Wars.
600
Speed
cc
Wars.
sport bikes from 1990s to today.
Speed Wars bikes.
And
That's not the
the,
leader
the
bikes.
first the first pick might surprise you. My number one.
I hope it's the 636.
It is the Triumph Daytona 650.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to make Tristan happy.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to make Tristan happy. Now, Andrew, you were talking about torque.
Of course,
You want to talk torque?
I do.
I'll give you some torque.
So for your dually was 800-ish foot-pounds.
Yeah.
Or give or take from a 7 liter
6.7 liter.
across the board, 6-7-ish.
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
I just want to do the math on this one.
So, at 11,500 RPM, the Triumph Daytona 650 hits you with 50 foot-pounds of torque.
Woo! That triple engine.
Yeah.
So,
Wait,
60.
why are they measuring the torque so high up the band?
That's
Did you
where it
catch
peaks.
that?
Yeah.
yeah.
No, not on the triples.
Yeah. There's enough down low, but being a triple, it does actually
I thought it was the reverse with
spin
the triples.
higher than that. Yeah.
That's crazy. Anyways,
So, 50 foot-pounds. So look out, dualies.
Definitely.
Towing your horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Crank it all the way up.
So 16 valve, 4-cylinder engine, 114 horsepower. At 12,500 RPM is where they measured that. Top speed of 160 miles an hour.
Right.
And the reason I put this one at number 1 is because I'm a taller guy. And these bikes are larger than its Japanese counterparts.
Because you got to fit English people on them.
Got to fit English people on them.
Right.
And me being roughly 6'3", this bike, I feel like it's a little more tailor-made for me. So if I were to buy it, I feel like it'd be easier for me to handle because it's a bigger bike. It was made for larger and taller riders. So that's
which is interesting because as I test drove the Street Triple, which has the same motor, different tune, same frame, different handlebars and pegs, but it's a very, very close cousin of the Daytona. And usually standard style, naked style bikes are more upright. They're more forgiving for taller riders. And I found it super comfortable. So even, Captain Stubby Legs over here.
I was going to say, you got weird legs.
Was very happy on a bike that might even fit you better than a sport bike. I'm surprised that it would make that you'd be comfortable and I could even still get on it, much less find it also very comfortable myself. I'm surprised.
I mean, it's yet to be seen. I actually have not yet sat on one.
Weird sidebar.
But based on the research I've done, taller, larger riders seem to have a better time on the Triumph. So that's why I put it at number 1, because I was thinking selfishly about me. So
interesting engine, too.
Yeah, 3-cylinder?
Yep.
No, this one was a 4-cylinder.
The Daytonas?
The Daytona 650.
Right. Wait, no. Is it 675, the triple?
Yeah. And that might have been the one.
Yeah.
So
and that might have been the one I was looking at.
That's the original gen Daytona. The 4. The 4
Yes.
is the original gen.
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, right.
That's the same frame and engine as the Speed 4.
Right.
That's, yes.
There we go. Now
Yep.
we're back on board. Yep, that was my confusion. That also explains the torque thing.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, the original Daytona motorcycle did have a 4-cylinder engine.
Yep. Cool? All right.
Yes.
On to number 2. This one is the Yamaha YZF R6.
The R6, a classic.
And this one is kind of for the just ungodly amounts of fun and power you could have, kind of like your number 1 pick with the Ford. 127 horsepower with only 354 pounds.
Yeah. It's a
This
quick
thing
bike.
was an absolute rocket ship. 599 cc, 49 pound-feet of torque. This one, from my research, this one was very easy to adjust the mid-range as well, to make the band going all the way up much smoother. So if you wanted to tune this one, it was very easy to do compared to other bikes.
Did you get what year did you?
This 2006 on.
Oh, okay. So the newest.
Sorry,
Is it
yeah.
the newest?
Injected?
What?
Oh, it was 2006, I assume
Yeah,
it's
so-
injected.
Yeah, injected.
been
Yeah, injected. Sorry, for the Triumph, 2003 to 2005 model year.
Gotcha.
That was a
two-
very short run.
Right, short run. 2006 to current YZF Yamaha, though. So power to weight ratio, horsepower, ungodly amounts of just irresponsibility, and this easy tuning to make it slightly more responsible and not make it as peaky is the reason I have it at number 2.
I'm surprised you didn't go for a Gixxer if tuning was your.
Hang in there.
Hang on.
Because you cannot talk about sport bikes without talking about the Gixxer.
True.
So at number 3 is the Suzuki GSX-R 600.
Which people got tired of saying GSX-R 600.
So it's a
zig,
Gixxer.
zig, 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 zig.
And I also
It's a
just noticed
Gixxer.
in my notes I actually wrote Suzuki,
Suzuki. Satsuki.
but
The Satsuki Gixxer.
but it is in fact a Suzuki GSX-R 600. Again, 2004, 2005. The torquiest on this list, 51 pound-feet of torque. Woo. at 112 horsepower, 160 miles an hour. I chose starting at 2004 because that was when they brought in fuel injection onto this one. Also, new lighter weight bodywork, and this was the debut of the inverted fork in the front as well.
Gotcha.
So, number 3 was the Gixxer.
I have actually ridden the newer gens of the R6 and the Gixxer. I like the Gixxer more. I thought, well, the R6 that I rode was also, what's the term? This is how long Vince has ridden my freaking motorcycle. It had a bigger gear at the back, so it was horrifying. It was not fun. But no CBR, no Kawasaki.
Nope.
Nothing.
Well,
I've owned.
I don't have a CBR. I do have a Cowie in my honorable mention.
It's a damn shame.
I did have a related bike. My second bike was the Bandit. So had the when it came out, it was given the previous generation carbureted Gixxer motor.
Correct.
Ding ding, everyone. Also the same one in the Katana.
Right.
So similar. I've at least ridden one of those, but can't speak to sport bikes. Don't like them. Haven't ever really ridden them.
I owned one for a year, and my issue with it, well, it was actually a bike that I wanted to own for a long time. The first time I saw it, I fell in love with it. Mine was a 2001 Honda CBR F4i. It kind of looks like an owl.
Yes, owl bike.
And that was their first injected bike to come to America. The issue with the C, and I managed to find one that was like exactly what it had, the pipe I wanted, the aftermarket pipe I wanted. And the issue with a sport bike, like when I started to ride, I would have, those like myoclonic jerk dreams as you're falling asleep, where you're like, bah. Suddenly all my dreams were starting to be about me dying on a motorcycle, because the issue with a 600, and I don't even know if it's that bad in a liter bike. I've never ridden a liter. 600 is constantly flicking your ear to make you go faster.
Yes.
Constantly. Because no matter what, you are in roll-on power. Even in any gear, at any time, you're in roll-on power.
Just squeeze a little more.
Yep, that is definitely the case with a liter bike. I test drove even more. I drove a 1200 Bandit and a 600 Bandit.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to get a 600 Bandit because 1200 is too much.
But this, I don't know. Like I said, I've never driven a liter. But the problem with 600 is that it's because the engines are so eager, whereas I think in a liter they could be a little bit more relaxed. Yes, the power is there, but the 600 is just always right on the edge of wanting to go. And I mean, for me, it was just kind of a letdown. It took all the joy out of riding motorcycles, because all I could picture is just me dying horribly.
Yeah. Yep.
It just makes it not fun. At least it did for me. And especially when looking at the people I know who've owned sport bikes, every single one of them crashed except for me, because I only owned mine a year. Right. And I didn't chip it, and I didn't, I kept it as stock as I possibly could. It was a bike I wanted to own. I wanted to keep it because I love the way it looked, and I love the pipe, and I love the sound.
You exercised great care.
Immense care. And yet somehow I still fucking tip the thing over in the lawn. You know what I mean? Just like, how? How does that happen? It's never happened with any other bike.
Are also top heavy.
Yeah.
They want to lean over on purpose.
Yeah.
And that I feel like I'm perched up on top of them when I ride them, which is true if you look at them and at anybody riding one. But it seemed
you're not really set into them.
No,
at
it
all.
seemed like a precarious place to be. I didn't care for it, but
yeah, me neither. But it's unfortunate because I love that bike so much. But and you also didn't have my other favorite bike on there. Sorry, go ahead, Tristan.
I was gonna say, and sport bikes are such a classic bike type to never really to want to actively exclude them from your riding experience is sad to me, but
there's no choice. Like that's always the thing. You see all these people, guys, not people. You see all these guys riding sport bikes in like flip-flops and shorts and all this tank tops. And it's just it almost felt owning that bike, even for a period as I did, in order to enjoy the bike, if you don't prescribe to that lifestyle, if you don't live it that way, it's like, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of sad. But
anyways.
Oh, yeah, and you also have my other favorite bike, the No Cowie 636 on there, huh?
I was close. I didn't throw it on. Look, timing. I was only allowed to pick 3. I did 2 honorable mentions anyway.
Yeah, let's hear them. Sorry.
I could have just come at you with 10 of them, but
I like all of them. Next question.
I like all of the bikes because I don't know any better. No, so I mean, it was probably one of the last ones I cut out, to be honest with you. Anyway, honorable mention. I did do a previous generation Gixxer, 97 to 2000.
I like that look of that.
The look of that one was really cool. Little less horsepower, little less torque. But it was the introduction of the Suzuki Ram Air Direct on the motor, the S-Rad, as it's called. So
S-Rad.
That made honorable mention. And then also, the one Cowie I had on my list was the ZX6R from 98 to 02, carbureted. 111 horsepower, 48 foot-pounds of torque, still 150 mile an hour top speed, which is impressive to me.
Well, that bike stuck around. That bike was so popular, it stuck around for an entire generation after as just a renamed bike, as a ZZR 600.
Right.
Yeah. Of which I almost bought one because the seating position was like being cradled gently.
It was nice.
Just like a little baby.
Yeah.
With 100 horsepower at your disposal.
Yeah. That was the same for me, kind of related to the CBR 600, the 600cc Hawk.
Yes. Yeah.
That was just like, allow me to sit in this amazingly comfortable work chair and go a zillion miles an hour.
Right. All the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Does it mean I'm going to be more interested in these going forward after we turn these mics off? I don't know. Again, just because mental capacity, I don't have room to care about all of these things. But it was interesting learning about some of this stuff. And it wasn't, I thought I was just going to have a miserable time doing this, but I was actually pretty engaged with it. I thought it was good. So, yeah, thanks for bestowing that upon me.
Give you the gift of motorcycles.
Yeah. And that first time we really talked in depth about bikes on the show.
Yes.
So
new things.
New things. Tristan, time for the headline act here. We're going to close it out with your research.
Sure.
What did you bring to the table?
It's funny that you mentioned new content, because I definitely didn't bring new content.
Nope, no new content.
I actually am revisiting old content.
Oh, yeah.
We made a whole joke about the fact that I don't know anything about Ferraris. Well, that has changed.
I don't think it was a joke so much as you got mad at us for saying that you should know stuff about Ferraris.
Yeah.
I didn't get mad.
I remember him getting mad.
I was very blasé about Ferraris in general.
Yeah, that's kind of...
I guess.
Yeah.
He's just like, meh, Ferrari.
But in my story, you were really mad.
Okay, fine. So I did some research. I didn't have 4 months and access to a research library to be able to tell you exactly every possible Ferrari.
You just use the Wikipedia page. It's fine.
Oh, I know. But even that... You see how many links are on that page?
Yes. Remember, I looked through all of those to make that list of good-looking Ferraris.
So I had to choose my top 3 favorite Ferraris for research.
Because he doesn't know any of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And now I know notably more, and I think that'll tell...
Well, if you didn't know any, one would be notably more.
I think that'll tell in my preamble and my honorable mentions at the end.
I'm excited for it. Like, he comes at us with a preamble. Like, what is this?
I want to open with the F40.
It's
got to be on the list.
It's the obvious choice.
It's not on my list.
What? You're a sinner.
So can we kick him off the podcast?
Tell me why it would be on yours.
Because the car is so iconic and beautiful and great.
It's not...
And a milestone car, the first 200 mile an hour, like...
Prove it. No one did.
Prove it.
Prove that it's... Ferrari said it's 200 mile an hour car.
Yeah.
Independent testing could never prove it.
That's not true.
Outside of Italy.
No. Car and Driver, I thought they got 201 in it once.
199.
Oh, great.
And it got beaten by the RUF, the RUF, And
how do you actually say that?
Well, I think it's rough. Actually,
is it rough?
Yeah. The Yellowbird, that went 211. And there was one other car in that test.
Sorry, I'm not interested in this.
So
that's just a souped up.
I'm sorry
Porsche.
that I'm shattering your heroes.
That's not even a. It's not. They're not even a production manufacturer. They don't make it. They don't make them enough in numbers.
Right. So
But the F40 did.
Right, but they also never went 200 miles an hour.
Sure, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
They never went outside of Italy, so I'm just gonna forget that. And I don't think the styling is any notably different than others on this list that I think are
Didn't learn anything.
more culturally relevant. I think I learned more than you guys did. I think I learned more than you guys know.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just ignore the F40
Maybe your list
because
is
it's
wrong.
boring.
Yeah,
It's boring. It's a doesn't go 200 mile an hour car,
It's boring.
and
probably the best Ferrari ever produced. It's boring.
and
The guy who loves Volkswagen.
I know, right?
it's
boring.
It's a doesn't go 200 mile an hour Ferrari.
Okay.
And it has just kind of what I joked about Ferraris being is what the F40 is.
Okay.
It's the kind of generic red wedge. It doesn't do anything for me. So for me, there was the 2002 to 2004 production Enzo Ferrari. So that was tasked with living up to the name of the man himself.
Yep.
And I think it
Wasn't
did
that
pretty
the one
well.
that was co-designed by Schumacher?
That was the FXX, which came from the Enzo.
Yes.
So the real name is Enzo Ferrari. People usually turn it around and call it the Ferrari Enzo. It actually is the Enzo Ferrari. It was one of their first cars to really integrate tech from their F1 program into a production car. So it had a
That thing was so ugly.
see. I don't know whether I feel it's like super attractive or super ugly or whatever, but I feel like it made a statement with the design.
Was
it
this
had
by the number? Are you going 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3?
I don't have a super great order for this because they're all different things.
Got it.
So I think the Enzo is one of the most, in my opinion, kind of unique and shocking when you stick it next to everything that was coming out at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones I can't tell apart. Like, the ones like the ones that James May owns. Like he owns two, and as far as I can tell, they're identical, even though the numbers are different.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very hard to tell those apart. But then this came along in that same time period, and it was carbon fiber body, electro hydraulic shift, flappy paddle gearboxes, carbon fiber reinforced silicone carbide ceramic composite disc brakes. How many more things can you throw on there, right?
How many more syllables can you even speak?
Right? Active aerodynamics, things like that were relatively unique for cars of that time.
Yeah.
And like I said, like the styling or not, it had the F1 inspired nose cone and things like that. I think it was a great homage to how successful Ferrari was in racing, and they brought a lot of that to the road. And I think for that, I think it deserves a nod here. It's polarizing. Some people are going to hate it. Some people really like it, but I think it deserves a nod. The next one is the Ferrari that I was introduced to the most readily. And it's
Most readily.
Yeah, the 2010 to 2015 458 Italia.
This is Nick's fault.
No, it's racing's fault. That's why. It had a fantastic customer racing program. It had a whole series based around it.
Yeah.
And honestly, when you look at it compared to its newer cousin, the 488,
Don't you say bad things about the 488.
I don't like the nose as much. So here's why. So the 488 has just the two little vertical splitters.
Yes.
And the 458 has those cool winglets in the front air intakes.
I think the front is the most improved part of the 488.
I like the back of the
But wait,
488 better.
Here's something I need to call you
Than the
out on.
458.
Why would you pick the 488 when the 360 is right there? And that was when you were all into Audi at Le Mans. The 360 had a racing program too.
Yeah, but I wasn't paying attention to other sports cars at the time. I was strictly interested in Audi at Le Mans.
All right.
So when I got more involved going to actual like IMSA races with Nick more often, when we started doing our 2 a years, that's when you're looking at, Reese Comp and
all the feeder series and the support races.
And they were all in 4.58s. And that was the first Ferrari I could reliably identify. It's like, oh, look, a 4.58. And like Nick was like, oh, look at that. Good job. Because, I was kind of...
I gave him a little head pat.
And I think the head pat still resonates to this day.
And treats.
Yeah.
I think your list is a sham.
Why?
Because it doesn't include any of the good ones.
It doesn't include the ones you like. It
doesn't
my
include
list.
any of the objectively good ones. Factually good ones.
See,
he's got one spot left, and honorable mentions. You said, right?
I do have honorable mentions. Yes.
So fine.
But no, I went through and I picked the ones that I liked. That's what we're doing. All right.
Anyway,
the last one on my actual list, the LaFerrari.
Really?
When you talk about factually good Ferraris, it's just the best one. It's the fastest one they've ever made.
Right.
So, statistically, best Ferrari. There is no argument to that at this point. It is a hypercar, not a supercar. And it's the first one where they went modern. I think that's a milestone for them, where they started doing hybrid and things like that. And I think that's right. I think that's the big step there. And
little bits of hybrid.
Right.
tiny.
Less than other people.
Right.
But from Ferrari, that speaks volumes. I think
that's true enough.
People who are even going to gasp, a twin turbocharged V8. What are you, some kind of a heathen?
Sacrilege.
It's not a V10 or a V12. Get that out of here. So even with that, that move, like from a company who will only do, super high cylinder count engines.
Right.
To integrate hybrid technology at all, even in an iota that they put in there, I think that means something. So I think the LaFerrari is a meaningful Ferrari. And I like the way it looks. We've seen it in person with the weird exception of the Deedly mirrors.
But
that's it. Yes, we saw the one in black at Watkins, didn't we? That was badass.
But I will say, the mirrors, like the overall design of that car has definitely kind of grown on me, especially for some reason the mirrors. I feel like before it seemed like you could kind of remove them to improve the design, but I don't know, something about the way it seems like a important feature
what they
now.
do, and this is what I do like about the mirrors. I don't like the stocks. What they do is from the front of the car, they fill a space. So you can see the haunches, and you can see the front, and in between there's what looks like a blank spot, and when you look at it from the top, when you're looking at it from the front, the mirrors end up directly in that blank spot.
Yeah, that's
the Italians.
Yeah,
that's that's Pininfarina just turned loose on a piece of paper.
Right.
And so I think it's a beautiful car. I think it is performance-wise. I don't think it is. It is performance-wise. The numbers are the best that Ferrari's ever done.
Yep.
And I think it's a move to the future from a company who's notably loath to do so. So I think it means a lot.
Especially as the performance arm of FCA.
Yes. Yes.
I always forget about, honestly.
Yeah.
That they're part of
FCA.
Yeah.
Part of
FCA.
They do their own
same
thing.
Bank accounts as
Although
otherwise
FCA's
different.
been stealing their engines for the past couple of years.
Yoink. Yeah. So no, this is not by any means like just print the numbers, do a bunch of math, and say what is numerically the best Ferraris. Mm-hmm. They're the ones I like the most.
There's still one name I'm waiting to hear, so hopefully it's in the honorable mentions.
I believe it is the first honorable mention. The 1984 to 1996 Testarossa.
There it is. There it is.
The Rosa.
For that one, I love the side slashes.
Love the slashes.
Yes.
The best.
So that, and it's a cultural icon. It's Miami Vice.
Oh, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Not to mention, there's some personal connotations there. When I was given my first computer, my dad renamed the hard drive Testarossa. because it was for me, the redhead. So that's a little bit of that. That was the first Ferrari name I knew, but I couldn't tell you what it looked like because I was never shown it. But
Dear child, do not look upon it.
But it was like, hey, look, I named the hard drive Testarossa because that's redhead. And it's a Ferrari named a car that. I was like little.
But I feel like you should have this
cool.
car.
No. I think this was before.
Come on, Mr. D. At least show him a picture of the car.
I think it was before easy Google, though.
Oh, definitely. It had to be.
Yeah, this was before. Yeah, this was before.
So it would have been like go to the library and find a book of cars.
Guaranteed there would have been a book specifically about the Testarossa.
Oh, I'm sure. But there was just not that much time for that kind of effort. And then so that had a stupid long production. That was like 12 years for Ferrari. That's a long time. 9 years out of my next honorable mention. 2008 to 2017.
California?
Yes. Which I like it because it is, in my opinion, really their best crack at a Grand Tourer.
Well, I assume they have others, but in modern era, probably the only.
Yeah, and I like Grand Touring cars. So these are ones that I looked at and considered, but they didn't make the list. And I was like, oh, I wonder if they'd be a good Grand Tourer. Like I know the California. What else do they have? And not much is the answer. And but it wasn't enough to get it on my list.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I was never impressed by the California. I feel like was Ferrari attempting to do in a different class what they kind of did with the LaFerrari? It kind of like hone in on a class that they don't necessarily, or they haven't been a part of in a while. You know what I mean? Because like the LaFerrari is hyper car, like pinnacle, Koenigsegg, like the pinnacle of all automotive technology. We haven't necessarily seen that from Ferrari.
No, they make supercars. That's their thing, and they tend to stay away from hypercars.
Exactly. And I feel like the California was that for their Grand Tour, but then it's sort of like, well, why not just make a better Maserati was my question,
That's true. And they have made some good ones of those. Here's a wild off the wall one.
You have another one?
I have 3 honorable mentions. The GT C4 Lusso.
Hold on. That's also is that a front engine one too?
Yes, still in production.
Right.
It's their shooting brake. 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steering.
No, it's the FF.
Successor to the FF.
Oh,
brand new.
Right.
Relatively new. I think 2018 or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's their new FF, and I think it looks even better. It has this fantastic curve from the front wheel well to the back wheel well that I really like a lot.
Right. Sorry, just pulling up a picture here.
Yeah. I love shooting brakes. I was
actually going to say something about how I was surprised one wasn't on your list, but
and that alone almost put it on my list. Was the shooting brake design, and it's like, okay, dare anybody say the phrase "practical Ferrari"? That was almost enough. That was almost enough interest for me to like put it on the list and dig really deep. And I'm like, yeah, no, because I'll just buy something else.
Of course,
like But it's very interesting. 4-wheel steering, 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, and actually tons of space in the back. Like I saw a picture of it open.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you can fit like 5 people and all of their skis.
That car is the flex though. Honestly, like just think about it.
Yeah.
You didn't get a car with a lot of practicality and you didn't get like the hypercar Ferrari, but it's kind of like a daily runabout type thing.
Yeah, I got this.
That shit out in the winter.
I got this to go get my groceries in the winter.
Right.
I leave the LaFerrari at home.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, in the winter, or when it rains, or when it gets dark.
Yeah.
Or when the temperature drops below 50.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. So those are my 3 honorable mentions.
I mean, the only thing I think you preambled with the F40 just to rile us up and piss us off, which you did.
Yes, I did.
I don't think you really feel that way.
There is video evidence of a guy doing 200 in the car in Japan.
Yep.
But,
That's what speedometers say.
Details.
what speedometers say.
Right, yeah. Can't trust numbers.
Can't trust the speedometer.
Can't trust them to come out of Italy.
It's like my mom saying this calculator's wrong.
Well, you know, so
you can't trust a speedometer. Yes, you can. That's what they're there for.
For someone who had to go through with my dad, repeatedly attempting to recalibrate the GTI speedometer.
That's cool. We understand that you're we understand that you're over the GT40.
And being told by the speedometer like calibration guys that you can only calibrate them to so fine a point, and that's why most police will tell you like, they don't pull you over for 2 or 3 over because who knows how fast you actually think you're going.
And the speedometer could have been slow too.
Yeah.
There we go. So we did 200 in Japan, and it's on film.
There
you
you
can
go.
go find it on YouTube right now, folks.
And was the car modified?
No, it was stock.
Says a YouTube video.
It says YouTube video from 35 years ago. It's not a new video. It happened when the car was new. What are you talking about?
Like I said, when anybody dares put a radar gun on it, it gets shy and doesn't go 200 miles an hour.
Uh-huh.
Unless it's at home.
Okay.
Well, how accurate is the radar gun? What's
exactly.
what's the tolerance on a radar gun?
Is that
Those are
calibrated
very
properly?
good. And they do distance over time. So you can do...
Well, that is speed.
Right, but that's actual... but that's actual...
Miles per hour, distance over time.
That's what I mean, though. So if you're looking at calculating speed, the only 100% accurate way is to measure exactly how fast it goes from here to here. That will give you an average speed. That's how it works. So...
Well, I would have probably, on your list, you hit a lot of good ones. I would have probably dropped...
California.
I would probably...
That was an honorable mention. It didn't
I
make
would
my list.
have moved the Enzo to honorable mention, dropped the California, because the GTC4 is amazing, and then put in the F40.
Yeah, it's definitely in the one.
Yeah, definitely in the one.
Which is fine. I expected that from you people.
From the knowers.
No.
Of Ferrari.
Yeah.
No, from clearly the people who don't know Ferrari because they don't know the F40 doesn't go 200 miles an hour.
I've seen it.
I seen it.
You've seen somebody who took their speedometer and tipped it a little bit.
All right, man. I
Or
just think it's funny.
recalibrated their speedometer.
I just think it's funny to say. I just think it's so funny to say to go from it can't do 200 to it can't do 200 here to it can't do 200 outside of Italy to then say maybe it didn't do 200 because
But we can't tell because the speedometer might be wrong.
That is really funny.
Well, I think it's funny you guys are still saying it does because there's a lot of proof that it also doesn't.
Okay.
So
It does.
the speedometer one could go either way. And nobody measured it. And absolutely nobody actually measured it going that fast outside of Italy. And it's an Italian publication that said it.
Yes.
So of course they're going to say that we beat the Germans 200 miles an hour.
Well, they did.
Propaganda. And then
Well,
it got
they did.
obliterated later by the 928. So it doesn't matter.
Later.
Like
But
that
it's-
same,
but
like
it
that
set the
same,
stage
that same
for
year. The 928 was already in development. The F40 had nothing to do with how fast the 928 was going to go.
Yeah.
But it did it first.
Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Prove it.
I don't have to.
Well,
It's
neither-
been proven.
Then neither do I.
It has been proven.
It's been proven. There's video, like I keep saying. What more proof could you possibly need? You're looking at this Zapruder film being like, yeah, but JFK didn't die. Like, he didn't die.
See, there are other things corroborating the film. Eyewitness accounts, measurements.
Right. But how do we know how fast the bullet really traveled?
See, nobody was
Especially if
measuring
it was
that.
outside of
You
Italy.
did they have a radar on it?
That's a good question.
No, you
Did the bullet go slower if it was outside of Texas?
Definitely.
No, you use chronometers for that. Bullets are too fast for radar guns.
Sorry, we have the draft on while we're recording this. We're super professional, and they just showed a panning shot of a man's actual gravestone, so we knew that this guy's grandfather was dead. Does that seem appallingly tasteless to anybody else?
Thrilling.
Anyways,
Yeah, I don't get the point. I mean, sorry for his loss. But
yeah, I know, but why would they? Why would they do the 4K panning shots?
But yes. Anyway, I'm bored of the F40. Everybody always brings it up.
Yeah, 'cause it's the
And
first car to 200.
I'm bored of it. I am bored of it.
Best Ferrari.
Best Ferrari. Greatest Ferrari. Mightiest.
No. La Ferrari is best Ferrari.
Get me the hell out of here.
Okay.
Play me off.
With that, it is time to end episode 50. So, do we want to speak a little bit to 50, or do we have thank yous like we normally do? How do you guys want to? This is like a big milestone episode. Do you guys have anything else to add about it, or are we just going to do thank yous?
I don't know. Tristan, you got anything?
Yeah, I'd like to thank anyone and everyone who has supported this, like friends and family who I've spent way too much time away from, and I've spent money on things that I could have been spending on with them, and that kind of thing. It's meaningful to have someone support what you do, and do so personally. We always thank our listeners, and
we always will thank,
and we always will. But that's something that we're doing it for them. The people that we are taking our time and our effort away from may or may not even be fans of what we're doing. So I think they deserve a special shout out. They didn't seek us out like many of our listeners have. They're stuck with us, and that means a lot. Well, unluckily, they're not stuck with us, but they're still here. Right. That's what that really means.
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah.
Right.
I just think, I already wrote about it in my blog post a little bit, but there are moments, actually my past 2 blog posts have mentioned this. There are moments while we're doing this where it becomes hard to see, even after just 50 episodes, why we're doing this.
I mean, we've kept a pretty tight schedule on this, where it it's incredibly fun, and but at times it kind of feels like a grind. Like
it's a job sometimes.
Like, oh man, like I just finished working 10, 11. Now I got to go home and like try to write a blog because it's my turn, and I got to try to come up with content for page. Like there are times when you don't want to do it.
And I'm sure it's the same for the two of you, where sometimes you'll read a number on our Anchor stats, or we'll look at the performance of an episode after 1 week and be like, it just feels sometimes it's not working. Or something will stick in your head and you realize, start obsessing over it. What could I do better? What could I do different? And there's just been recently finding that stupid little Maserati in my garden and getting the Instagram message from a fan who just was telling us that he has been listening to us all day while he's at work.
Can we do a direct shout out?
Yeah.
Joe Roy 15.
Yeah, Joe Roy 15 on Instagram just DM'd us just to say that. I mean, it was really impactful for me because it was something I so strongly identify with. Like I said in the blog, I binge listen to things that I connect with at a deeper than mental level. It's something that matches with the way I see the world.
Right.
And to be entrusted with that by a complete stranger was very emotionally impactful for me. You see the connections that you feel with things you like in other people, but they're saying it about your content. It's even as someone who has created through writing and something for most of my adult life, I've never had anything that I've done be this impactful with other people. So. And it's only 50 episodes, and we're still going. We're going to get better, and we're going to reach further.
It came at a great time.
Yeah,
yeah. The timing couldn't have been better.
Yeah.
Joe Roy 15 user, thanks, and we're going to. Not sure if it's going to be turned out right away, but we are going to look into your episode idea and how we can frame it up. He wants to do an episode on tuner culture.
Yeah,
that was his suggestion. We'll get it in at some point, so don't you worry. But yeah, I think for me, like, we've had good reviews. We asked for the reviews. We've gotten a few 5 stars. Some of them from people we know, some of them we don't.
Yeah.
Good recommendations, those types of things. But this was someone actually reaching out and saying thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That puts a different spin on it.
It does.
It makes me really proud, but also it's like a pang of awareness. Mm-hmm. and I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe
You suddenly realize that people actually are listening.
Exactly. Like when we first started this, like we're going to do whatever we want. We're going to like be irresponsible if in this and that, because no one's going to listen. Like no one's going to. We're just doing this really for us, like because we think it's fun. Heads up.
People are listening.
People are listening.
Yeah.
Like it almost adds a little sense of responsibility to it. I don't know if I'm blowing that up to bigger what it is, but
no,
I know it just makes you more aware.
Yeah, I get that pretty regularly on Twitter and Instagram when suddenly I realized, well, the other day I realized that the content editors of 3 major automotive publications have followed us recently on Twitter and Insta. And I was like, oh, shit. People see what I do here?
Oh, no.
This isn't my own head.
You just go back through your history as
like,
fast as possible.
On the heels of me saying some wildly irresponsible shit about Jim Hackett. Just like, yeah.
Whoops.
That's right.
People actually see this. So, yeah, we welcome all that. Joe Roy 15, thank you. Anyone else who's reached out to us. Man, we got our boy William in upstate New York.
The OG holding it down.
The OG holding it down. William, we will sort through your photos of the auto show. We're going to get those posted at some point soon here. He sent us like 100 pictures from the New York Auto Show.
Woo.
Yeah.
Just like a huge gallery. That's awesome. So, like, stuff like that makes us feel like we're onto something.
Yeah, it makes us feel that other people share our vision. Like I wrote in that plug. I mean, we started this punch drunk,
super tired,
unbelievable after brain baking for 3 days in Virginia, and
that doesn't mean narcotics.
No,
that means
this means extreme heat.
Real hot.
We would have had access in that unbelievable motel we happened to stay at. That was worse than any of us could have ever imagined.
But yes, after 3 days out in the sun with way too much noise and way too little real food, mostly chicken, biscuits, and track food, we came up with this idea as we were, departing at night with no intention to stop until we got home.
Yep.
And here we are.
And you, the audience, made it something.
Yes.
Yep. And you're continuing to make it something. We're still small. We're still a needle in the haystack, but we're getting there, and it's because of you guys. So don't just listen. We talked to you about William. We talked to you about Joe Roy 15. We want you guys to reach out to us. We mentioned the website earlier. We also have socials. We're on Facebook. Check Engine Podcast on Facebook. The Insta handle is...
It's at Check Engine Pod.
The Twitter handle is...
Also at Check Engine Pod.
Indeed.
There it is. So go find us there. If you're really, really into what we're doing, we could always use a little extra support. We have a support page at anchor.fm. There's a button right there. There's also a Patreon page, patreon.com/checkenginepodcast.
Yeah, this song is Patreon.
Yeah. The song you heard at the beginning of this episode, the new song we debuted. Arnie's a cool dude, but he wasn't doing this for free.
No, he's too good. He's
too good.
Yeah, he shouldn't do it for free.
He's a professional, as you can tell. So that came from the support pages. So this is what we do with how the money that you guys pledge to us. So thank you for that. Reviews, I mentioned we've gotten some already. The more we get, the more we grow. It's part of the algorithm on searches. Like reviews hold a lot of weight. So take a few seconds, give us a review. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, and definitely check out Arnie's stuff too. ATP Music. Check him out on Spotify. Check him out on SoundCloud. He's got Twitter. He's got Insta. He's also a great photographer too. Just check him out, man. He's a real cool guy.
Multi-talented.
He is.
Literally sometimes a Renaissance man.
and he's that's right. Also a juggler and
Renaissance fairsman,
knife thrower.
Yes.
Just
really? I did not know that.
No, just check him out. He's great.
So thank you to everybody for making these first 50 so much fun. Thank you to my 2 co-hosts, actually, for making this so much fun. This has been awesome. Great idea, Andrew.
I still don't think it was my idea, man.
But here's to the next 50. We can't wait to talk to you guys again. Take care.
Bye.